Proving once again that everything and everyone is stupid. We have a stupid story that doesn't matter being propped up by the New York Times of all papers, going viral with over 200,000 tweets about Central Park. Why? Because some dude got into an argument with some lady over her dog, and she deserves to have her life destroyed over this? This is a tale of two Karens. Okay, let me tell you. One Karen is substantially worse than the other Karen, but you may have seen this story going viral. Everyone's talking about it, but of course, as with all things, it's a bit more nuanced. I'll give you the gist of it, then we'll read what the New York Times has to say, because of course, the Times says, white woman calls police on black bird watcher in Central Park. Video of the incident touched off intense discussions about the history of black people being falsely reported to the police. Okay, yeah, that I get, but like, why is this news and why do I have to talk about it? I'll tell you why. It is a slow news day. See, we're all recovering from that 3-day weekend, Memorial Day, everybody at the beach. And so come this morning, everybody's hungover, nobody wants to work. So this is the news that we get. Unfortunately, it means that some people have their lives destroyed. Let me give you the gist of the story, and then we'll read how the news writes it. This dude's walking through the park. He happens to be a bird watcher. He happens to be black. I think he's actually like an Ivy League graduate. He sees a woman with a dog not on a leash. And this is where he goes into full-on Karen mode. But he's only like Karen level 1. He's like, why ain't your dog on a leash? And she's like, because he needs exercise. And then he's all like, take the dog somewhere else. And she's like, I can't, it's dangerous. Then he tries to coax her dog away from her with treats, and she freaks out. Then she's like, get away from my dog. He starts filming her. And then she calls the police on camera and says that she's going to call the police and tell them an African-American man is threatening her. Out of line. Definitely out of line. It's kind of creepy the way she said it, too, because it really does seem like she was trying to scare him over, like, actual racism. I'll tell you what. So we got two Karens, man. Somebody wants to come and give you the business about your dog. Don't call the police. What's wrong with you? But seriously, bro, I get it. You're a bird watcher, and she's supposed to have her dog on a leash, but come on, man. If she gives you the business, just be like, I'm going to go tell them you're not putting your dog on a leash. That's all you got to do, right? And for some reason, this has now become a national trend. But it gets really messed up. The lady's been put on administrative leave, and it's like, come on, dude. Listen, man, I get it. You see these incidents, and you're like, these people are bad. This woman's bad. She should be fired. Whatever. No. Hold on, man. You don't destroy someone's life over a 20-second argument in a park. Now, I get it. She said some dumb stuff. It's kind of gross if you were to ask me, but are we really going to destroy her life? She adopted this dog 2 years ago. The shelter took it back. She had to surrender the dog back. That is messed up, dude. Could you imagine having a dog for 2 years that you rescued? This video comes out now. I'll tell you what. She's roughing the dog up a little bit. Because apparently she's getting into an argument with a guy. Not acceptable, man. You can't take it on your dog. But it's not like she was beating the dog or anything. All right. Let's read this and see how they put their nice little social justice spin on this. The New York Times reports the encounter appears to have begun as one of those banal and brusque dust-ups between two New Yorkers. A black man, an avid birder, said he had asked a white woman to unleash her dog in Central Park. She refused. Then the encounter, which was recorded on video, took an ugly turn. As the man, Christian Cooper, filmed on his phone, the woman clutching her thrashing dog calls the police, her voice rising in hysteria. She says, I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life, she says to him while dialing. Then repeats to the operator that he's African-American. And let's be honest, this lady is like, you know what, man? You deserve to be dragged and insulted. I don't think we should destroy her life, but she's like hysterical on the phone going, I need some help. This man is threatening my life. Let me just tell you, both of the people in the story are Karens. The dude who yelled at her at the dog leash is a low tier Karen. And this lady is like a high tier Karen calling the cops hysterically. Like, what do I do? Yeah, shut up. The video posted to Twitter on Memorial Day has been viewed more than 20 million times, proving that we are truly a lost cause. Touching off intense discussions about the history of the police being falsely called on black people, sometimes putting their lives in danger. Let me tell you a story, man. It's a messed up story because I can sympathize and I can empathize with this stuff. There was a young black man. He was in a car accident. And this, you look this one up, look up the story, and then you might have to fact check me on this. I don't have it pulled up. He got in a car accident. He's injured and he's bleeding. He's hurt. He needs help. He runs to a house, knocks on the door because he needs help. The people inside get scared. There's a strange black man on their porch, so they call the police. When the police show up, He's on the porch, injured and seeking aid. And he turns and starts running to the cops. They freak out. Some cop draws his gun, kills the guy. Yeah, that stuff happens, man. That's messed up. The challenge with this discussion is knowing the statistics for, disproportionate, like how, if the police are disproportionately affecting people of certain race. And you've got activists who are adamant they know all the answers. And you've got people who doubt on the other side. But I'll tell you what, I approach all of these stories from an individual perspective. Because if you do it that way, you would actually solve the problem. I'll put it this way. As someone who's covered a ton of these Black Lives Matter protests and rallies, if you have, 10 instances where the cops killed somebody and that was a wrongful death, treat them all the same. And if it is true that they disproportionately target young black men, then you will disproportionately help, stop these cases, right? Just make it an issue of the cops not being able to do it, period. But when you make it all about one race, you drum up controversy and conflict that I don't think needs to be there. But I guess to be fair, I think you absolutely can point out, race in certain circumstances for sure. You just got to make sure you do it tactfully. And I think a lot of people don't. You end up with this rage from a lot of people when it comes to issues of protest and racial justice, where they start screaming and insulting white people. And then instead of actually solving the problem, you generate more animosity, which results in more scared cops hurting innocent people. Let's read some more of this story. 20 million times, you kidding me? Melody Cooper, who apparently is related to the guy, says, when Karens take a walk with their dogs off leash in the famous Bramble in New York Central Park, where it's clearly posted on signs that dogs must be leashed at all times. I'm sorry, Melody, you're being a Karen right now. And someone like my brother, an avid birder, politely asks her to put her dog on a leash. Now, don't get me wrong. I think this lady was way out of line. But are you seriously going to pull out your camera and film some lady because she's walking her dog? Like, dude, I get it. The sign says no dogs. Like, dogs got to be on a leash. All right, whatever, man. Choose your battles. I have no respect for this guy either. Shortly after the video was posted by the man's sister on Monday, someone who said they had been the white woman's dog walker identified her. The woman's name, Amy Cooper, soon began trending on Twitter. By evening, Miss Cooper was placed on leave by her employer, Franklin Templeton, while the incident was being investigated. According to her LinkedIn page, Miss Cooper, who is not related to Mr. Cooper, Miss Cooper. Oh, wow. Both their names are Cooper? Is that for real? What a weird story. What? Anyway, she's not related. Okay. Heads insurance portfolio management at Franklin Templeton. So Franklin Templeton, her job says, in response to an incident involving an employee on May 25th, Franklin Templeton issued the following statement. We take these matters very seriously, and we do not condone racism of any kind. While we are in the process of investigating the situation, the employee involved has been put on administrative leave. Internet sleuths digging into Miss Cooper's life found an Instagram profile of her Cocker Spaniel mix and began sharing old photos documenting injuries the dog had suffered. Wow, so maybe she was abusing the dog, huh? By nightfall, she had surrendered the dog, Henry, to the group she had adopted him from 2 years prior, according to a Facebook post by the group, Abandoned Angels Cocker Spaniel Rescue. The police said they had responded to a report of an assault at about 8:10 a.m. Upon arrival, police determined 2 individuals had engaged in a verbal dispute. A spokesman for the New York Police Department said no summons were issued and there was no arrest made. All right, you know what, man? I draw the line at actual physical violence. You know what I mean? Like if she was beating that dog or whatever, you can see her in the video. She's like pulling the dog by the collar and the dog's resisting. She should not have that dog if that's the case. But I think that's fair to call out. If the dude was calling her out for that, and that was what initiated the conflict, it'd be a different circumstance. It's not, but I do think it's absolutely good to call her out, help this dog out for sure. On Facebook, Mr. Cooper, who works in communications, according to his LinkedIn profile, posted his version of the exchange, which he said began when he asked her to leash the dog in the Bramble, the semi-wild section of Central Park. She refused. And now I want to stop. I do want to mention he basically tells a side of the story, and the New York Times is very favorable. But I think when you look at the story, it's just there's not okay. All right, let's do this. What is it? Miss Cooper apologized according to NBC. Mr. Cooper said he would accept the apology only if it was genuine, and she plans on keeping her dog on a leash moving forward. That brings me to CNN. A white woman has apologized after calling police on a black man and saying there's an African man threatening my life. Take a look at this. Here's the Facebook post that went viral. Now here's the exchange by the man's own admission. Central Park this morning. This woman's dog is tearing through the plantings in the ramble. Me. Ma'am, dogs in the ramble have to be on a leash at all times. The sign is right there. Her. The dog runs are closed. He needs his exercise. Me. All you have to do is take him to the other side of the drive, outside the bramble, and you can let him run off the leaf all you want. Her. It's too dangerous. Me. Look, if you're going to do what you want, I'm going to do what I want, but you're not going to like it. What's that? Me to the dog. Come here, puppy. Her. He won't come to you. Me. We'll see about that. I pull out the dog treats I carry for just such intransigence. I didn't even get a chance to toss any treats to the pooch before Karen scrambled to grab the dog. Don't you touch my dog. That's when I started video recording with my iPhone. And when her inner Karen fully emerged and took a dark turn, bro, you're pretty Karen on this one. Why are you carrying dog treats and trying to coax other people's dogs away? So in the video, you can see her wrestling with the dog, but I'll tell you what, man, I gotta say, if somebody's dangling treats to try and get your dog to run away from you and they're resisting because they want the treats, I mean, you got to hold the dog down. Now, she definitely crosses the line calling the cops. That's stupid. But now it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Let me ask, what are you supposed to do? Let's say you're in the park. Yeah, I get it. Her dog's supposed to be on a leash, man, for real. But let's say someone tries pulling out treats to lure your dog away. I mean, what do you do? Now, she definitely should not have been hysterically, screaming that, an African-American man was threatening her life. But, I mean, all I can really say about this story is it shouldn't be news. I shouldn't be talking about it. But you know what? It's we're coming off Memorial Day weekend, and this is what you get. I can't imagine what life will be like after the 2020 election. If Trump wins, it'll be nothing but Orange Man bad again for another 4 years. And maybe that'll be it. Maybe I'll quit and I'm done. I'm over it, right? I'd like to actually talk about things that matter. And we certainly don't get that. There's another story that I do want to talk about, though, in this point of people just desperately needing drama. And that could explain the Orange Man bad narrative. It's not even really about Trump. It's about the need to just have conflict. Both of these people are Karens. One's obviously worse. Why is this a viral trend? Because people got to be mad about something, I guess. Can't people just learn to be happy? You know what I mean? Just like you go outside and, read a book in the hammock and look at the birds or something. I mean, that sounds like it'd be nice. Calm down, relax. Nah, people won't be mad. There was a viral video just last week. It's similar, where these FedEx drivers are yelling at some dude who's filming them. And apparently this ends up it goes viral. People are claiming it's racist or something. And I'm like, dude, whenever I see videos like this, I don't know what's happening, man. We heard this guy's side of the story. What if he did really threaten this woman? I don't know. Because you don't know what happened. I think based on what we see from this, it's probably not the case. This dude's a bird watcher and he's you can't do this with your dog. I can actually respect a little bit why the dude was mad about it, because you're a bird watcher, so you're coming there to watch the birds, and there's a dog off a leash. That could actually impact what you are trying to do. So I get it a little bit. I'll be fair. But you get this video with the FedEx guys. Apparently, the FedEx drivers, it was two black men pulling up to a white guy's house, and the white guy says they drove on his lawn. And all of a sudden, it becomes this issue of racial justice and stuff. And it's just like, why, dude? Why? People get into fights all the time. Are we really going to turn every single fight into some stupid online viral video? That is how insanely desperate people are for anything to be angry about. Bro, I don't care. So these FedEx guys pull up on this guy's lawn. He apparently gets tired of it because they keep doing it. He comes out, he starts yelling at him. And then I think the police determined he actually instigated. You can argue they did by driving on his lawn. I mean, that's make a lot of people angry. I mean, I'd be pretty angry if he drove on my lawn. So the guy comes out, starts yelling at him. And then it's two dudes. The driver gets out and he's yelling at him. And then he's like, I thought you said you were going to whoop my A, And then the other guy who's filming is like, I'm filming you. And he's like, I'm filming you. And then all of a sudden this goes online, becomes an issue of racial justice. These two guys, the FedEx drivers, end up getting fired. After they get fired, they post the video and then launch a GoFundMe and raise $84,000. You know what, man? Everything is broken. I don't know if we're going to develop some kind of resilience to this and in the future stop caring about people getting into fights. But man, I could only imagine the things that I've been involved in with, like, I got a cheeseburger made wrong once and someone said naughty words to me. If only I had a cell phone camera, I could make $80,000. Everything has to be about I guess, race. And this says to me, man, when you see stories like this and you see stories like the FedEx one, bro, I don't think we can actually solve the problem of racism if this is the case. You know why? Because even when a story like the FedEx one clearly has nothing to do with race, it's just two people fighting each other. Everyone online wants it to be race. So then how are you supposed to actually solve the problem and learn to live together peacefully if people are literally trying to latch onto anything and make it a racial justice issue? Like this story too. I get it. The lady said, she called the police and said that stupid thing. And that's stupid. So you could, like, in this instance, I think it's fair to argue there is a racial component to that. Like, let's be real, like telling someone who's black, I'm going to tell the cops that an African-American man, it's like, why would you tell him that? Like, I understand you can call the cops and describe the person you're in an argument with. That's stupid regardless. Stop calling the cops, grow up and learn to deal with your problems. It's New York. What do you expect? Central Park. These people just don't know how to deal with their own problems. But when you get the story of the FedEx people, and there's a bunch of other videos like this, like Covington is the perfect example of where everyone was adamantly just demanding this confrontation be about race. Think about what that means moving forward. We have the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It is illegal to discriminate on the basis of race. Now we have just people being mean to each other, and even when there's no racial component to it, people make sure it is. So what? No matter what we do to actually end racism, everyone will always bring up race. Tends to be the social justice types. The one way that I described it on like the IRL podcast we did the other night is the pendulum swinging the other way. And I'm like, maybe here's the view. It's like the pendulum swings to one side, and you have a bunch of racists saying, that they don't like certain groups. Then it comes to the middle where it's like, be free and do what you want, and then swings to the social justice side where it's like, we have to help all of these poor minorities because, we're privileged and they're poor. And I wonder now if it's actually just the pendulum on both sides is not racist and racist. And we swing back and forth. It doesn't matter what kind of racism it is. It's just racism. So now we're in a world where, actually, let me phrase it this way. When I was younger and growing up, my family experienced racism. Because most of you know, for a while it was a meme that I come from a mixed race family. My mom is Korean and, a little bit Japanese, and my dad is white. And we're a bunch of little kids who clearly, I guess when we were younger, you look at us and you're like, hey, wait a minute, man, that family isn't just a white family. So we had vandalism on our house. We had like white supremacy stuff littered on our porch. People had broken into our garage and stuff. And, hey, these things happen. Someone threw a brick through our window. People don't like it. People are racist. And for a period when I was growing up, it started to feel like things were improving. My group of friends were all like a bunch of different races. And I'm like, it felt great that I could say that the racists lost. And I was like, now I can just kind of be myself. It's funny. I was watching that movie, That Thing You Do. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's about, a one-hit wonder band. 1996 it came out. The movie takes place in 1964. And I'm watching it. And I think it's 1964. And I think it's funny because when we look back at all these movies, it's like everything was great and everyone's smiling and all happy. And I'm like, man, like you couldn't even, I'm pretty sure you couldn't even have interracial, like there was no, like interracial marriage was illegal in a lot of places back then. And like that was the year they enacted the Civil Rights Act. And so it's like you watch this movie and everyone's dancing and singing the song. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff you just don't know about it. So for me now, growing up in this world, I feel like we've finally done well. And I'm like, we're finally coming to this cosmopolitan new reality where we can all hold hands under the rainbows and sing. And then guess what happens? First of all, I understand a lot of these problems have never gone away. I fully understand, as someone who's experienced, issues and dealt with this kind of stuff, that there are real issues of racism from racists. I don't think this is one of them. I don't think this woman got into a fight with a guy because of the race or anything like that. I don't think that if it was a white guy who yelled at her, she would have done anything different other than say the words African American, which I admit she crossed the line doing. But for a while, it felt like everything was improving and you still had the old racists, but at least we were going to have an opportunity to just be people and respect one another. And then the SJWs emerged. And I remember going to Occupy Wall Street and seeing everything just become about race. So I find it funny when they say, when people say things to me like, you've changed, Tim. It's like, bro, during Occupy Wall Street, I was constantly ragging on the fact that they were giving voting privileges over money to people based on their race instead of the work they were doing to help. It's not a way to solve anything. But they think so. And now we live in this world where we just posted a segment. Go to youtube.com/TimCastIRL for the new podcast show. We did a segment. I'm talking about a friend of mine who she's become an overt racist, like a racist, bigot, sexist. And I'm like openly breaking the law too, like violating employment laws and stuff. And I'm like, what's happened to these people where they now all of a sudden are like, they used to be in favor of not discriminating. It was like discrimination is wrong. And now they've gone so far off the other side, they're openly breaking the law by discriminating against, people in terms of who they hire and how they hire. So here's my final point on this stuff. First and foremost, I will never stop ragging on the fact that this is just, it's so dumb that this becomes news. You know what I mean? But considering the racial justice component of it, my main thought seeing this was like, are we condemned to always have racism? Is there because there will never be a moment where two people of two different races can interact where someone won't accuse someone of racism. Seems like that's the case, man. I guess I'll leave it there. Next segment will be coming up at timcast.net. Check it out. It is my main YouTube channel. Again, timcast.net. Maybe you haven't seen it, and I'll see you all there at 4 p.m.